Hello, 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 everybody. Happy 2021. Did Andy tune the guitar? He might have just cleaned the contacts on everything. Jeff, how's the level today? Good levels, perfect. Hey everybody, welcome back. Welcome back to Logik Live. Man, so many people here. This is great. Hello, Philippe's. Sybilla's here. Valentine. We've got some old faces, and by faces I mean little icons with your initials. And we've got some new faces. So it's so nice to see y'all. Frank is here. Well, hey everybody. Welcome back. I thought I timed that out pretty okay. It's 2021. It's a new year. Thank you very much, Randy. I would be lying if I said I didn't practice this at least once a day for the entire time we've been on break. Please make sure your chat is set to all panelists and attendees, so that way we can see everything that you're saying. Everybody can see everything you're saying. And of course, if you do have any questions during the course of the presentation, please put them in the Q&A panel, so that way we can just keep track of them. So welcome back to Logik Live, everybody. Happy 2021. It's been a hell of a year so far, let me tell you. Everybody who said that this year was going to be better than last year, because how couldn't it be? I think let's reassess that. We'll see how long. We'll see how that lasts. Welcome back, like I said. Let's get underway with Logik Live here. I'm going to impress you now with some very, very impressive transitions. Here we go. Oh, look at that. Back when I was a kid, we called that a dissolve. This episode of Logik Live is brought to you all by our friends at Synesys.io. Solutions development, integration, and supporting flame artists since 1997. Thank you, everybody at Synesys, for helping to make Logik Live possible. Let's quickly talk about the forum. The Logik TV forum has been going really, really great. It's going gangbusters, actually, if I may borrow that term. I'm just going to switch over here to this view and show you all. There are a couple things in the forum I wanted to point out. Right at the top of the forum is a survey from the Flame team. It's a 10-minute survey, so please fill that out for everybody. I know Jan and the rest of the team over there at Autodesk would appreciate it, because it's important to hear your feedback. They love hearing your feedback. There's also been some great new things on the forum I'd love for everybody to check out. Where did they go? There are a couple of polls on here. There was one about, Randy, help me out here. Where did it go? Oh, here we go. Yes. Do you wish we had real-time chat platform for Logik? Please go ahead and fill these things out. There was another one. It was like an anonymous, a blind survey about flame artist salaries around the world. So if you want to leave a happy birthday greeting for Andy Milkus here, that also would be, appreciated. It's not required, but it would definitely be appreciated. But please head over to the forum. Things are going great on the forum, and I want to thank Randy for everything that he's done to keep that going, to respond to people's requests for features and things like that. He's an amazing guy, and we love him. And a big round of applause here for Randy Madison. Heart and soul. There's Randy's putting that in the chat, man. Randy's putting links in the chat there. I wanted to share with you guys also one more great thing about the forum. I don't know if Mike Vaglianti is on here yet. I didn't see his name, but let me share my screen here. I wanted to show you all the portal, the Logik TV portal. If you haven't seen it yet, it is definitely worth checking out. It's a Python script you can download from from Logik.tv, from the forum. And what it does after you install it, right here, you have a little Logik pop up. Here's the Logik portal, and it gives you a little UI here for downloading all of the Python scripts that have been updated for people to share, or uploaded rather, people share. It's a place for you to also upload your own. In addition, there's an interface here to download all the Logik Matchbox shaders if you haven't grabbed them already, and also a repository of batch setups. So if you see here, like Randy has uploaded his setups here for a scromp, which has now become one of my favorite terms. It's a verb. It's going to be like Smurf, but we're going to use it in the compositing community. But like a simple take on a screen comp, and here's a way to denoise using neat video to subtract grain, work in your comp, add the grain back on top. But again, a great little repository for batch setup. So you install this, and it's kind of painless and simple to not only download some of this stuff from Logik.tv, but also upload your own and share it. So a huge thank you to Mike Veglianti for putting this together. And if you have any suggestions or feedback for him, please leave it up on the forum. All right, let's get started, shall we? My guest today is none other than Thiago Porto, who is in Sao Paulo, but he works for MPC in New York. He's a VFX artist, and some would say genius. I would say genius. I first met him at a New York user group a couple years ago when he showed off some of the machine learning and what was it, PyBox integrations that he had been working on. And then the last New York user group that we had, which was in January, I think, of 2020. Thiago was there and gave this amazing presentation on machine learning and the different kinds of tools and developments that people have been working on for visual effects. So, I know he's been posting on Facebook, on LinkedIn, on the forum, some of the amazing things he's been doing, and he gave me a little run through that just kind of blew my mind. So, Thiago, if you're there, if you can hear me all the way down south, please go ahead and start your camera and start your microphone. There he is.
Hey. Hello.
Hey, man.
Thank you. Happy New Year, everyone.
Happy New Year, man.
Yeah, thank you for it too, man.
So thanks for coming on today. And
thank you.
let's talk about machine learning. I mean, we have machine learning tools in Flame. Everybody's kind of, I think, aware of them and what some of the capabilities and limitations are. But I think you've really kind of taken on or at least helped to expand everyone's understanding of what is possible and kind of what direction these ML developments are going into. So, what do you have to show for us today?
Okay, a few things. We're gonna try to be quick, but sometimes I talk too much.
And we're out of time. Thank you very much, Thiago.
Thank you.
Tune in next week.
Cool. Thank you. Bye. Okay. Yeah, I have I have some. I'm not say I'm building tools, but more than building bridges from Flame to access other ML tools that we can have access and just using in Flame. So sometimes I just trying to use outside Flame because it's easier. Sometimes when I felt like, oh, okay, maybe gonna be easier or just faster to build some tools, just to get that inside Flame, sometimes I build it. So I have one specific one that I want to show that I showed you earlier that I think is really cool, that you can train models and run models inside Flame, which is very nice. And I was working this bridge and I'm planning to release this bridge because the ML network that I'm using this bridge is not done yet. So once they release it, I'm going to just put my bridge on the Logik forum so people can just download it. Yeah.
Cool.
And I think it's really cool because it allows us to train models ourselves and our own data. And I think it's cool. And that's I'm going to try to explain today the difference between, train our models or use models that has been pre-trained before in other data. So I think it's a balance and when you have to choose in our comps. So I'm going to try to explain the differences in there. And later I'm going to just show some it's a new trend in ML world, in AI world. It's about using synthetic data. So a lots of companies and audits and people start using synthetic data, especially for GANs, because GANs is really powerful to generate data faces or whatever that is fully realistic right now. And some people start using that for, pre-trained models, which I think it's cool too. So I'm going to try to explain a little bit of that and, just sharing some experiment that I did.
Excellent.
Cool.
Excellent. So yeah, I think it maybe just as important as a recap to explain to everybody how the way that at least in Flame, you know, we are interacting with ML tools is a model is trained in this case like at Autodesk, um, so that when you feed it a piece of footage, it tries to give you a certain result. So in the case of like the ML body extraction or face extraction for features, it's trained on tens of thousands or hundreds of thousands of examples and then released to us. So that way we can feed it something and it gives us a mat back, just as an example. But the real thing there is having a model and a data set to train that model with. And as of right now, we can't train anything, at least within Flame.
Yeah, exactly.
Okay,
So
cool.
that's what I was gonna try to show today, and it's gonna be live. So if it is crash, please forgive me. Yeah,
You're
you know how
forgiven.
it is.
Yeah, no.
Okay, let me share my screen real quick here.
It's not a good live demo unless it crashes, right?
I agree.
Anybody who's ever presented at a user group knows what I'm talking about.
I also stop my.
Thank you, Randy.
Can you guys see my screen?
Yeah, and Thiago is a fan of vertical reels. So if anybody would like to quit the meeting now, your admission price will be refunded.
Yeah, that is true. Here we go. I don't know, just feel cool to using like that and getting used to it over time. Because I started Flame by looking people online like you and all the other guys. And sometimes, especially in the past, like lots of artists was doing like that. So when I started using Flame, I was like, I don't want to use like left to right, like all the other softwares are going to use like Flame. And then that to me became Flame. Yeah. So just quickly recap. Uh, Machine learning models is just about data, as we've been saying. And the main thing that I want to explain here is about training versus inference, what that means actually. So train has the word set is when we train a model with our own data. Sometimes even like if you have a good pre-trained model, so you can just run that, but sometimes you want to train it on your own data. So for training, usually you need lots of machine power, GPUs, whatever. So that's what training is. Inference in the other end, it's more like just running a plugin. So you have like a tool like Flame Tools that it open those models and just run. But sometimes you don't know how that was trained, or you want to really train on your own shots or whatever. So that's the different bit is when someone is saying like, oh, I have this model and I do inference all the time. It's meaning that you're just running a model. You're not training at all. And even like Facebook apps and these TikToks, when they are just running models, you're kind of just inference. And so that's the big difference between those two. And as I was saying, you have pre-trained models that it's like the math extraction, for instance, or you train your own data. A good example that we can quickly show here in Flame, it's when we try to, like for instance, this one, it's a model that we have in Flame about human body expression. It's really, really amazing. I really love this tool. But as I said, this is a pre-trained model, so you can run a bunch of times. It's not going to get any better or different or specific to a shot. This was trained in a data, whatever was thousands and thousands of image, and we expect to working in brand new data or brand new shots. So this is just not just, but this is a pre-trained model that we are running. So this is kind of what we're doing here is just inference the model. Mm-hmm. So what I'm gonna try to show here is training a model. So for instance, I have the shot here, and then let's say let me fix this to linear, and let's say I want to roto this, and this is for now 300 whatever frames it is. So instead of training, instead of roto, I can just bring this bridge here, and now what this bridge is doing, it's allowing me to open a PT file, which usually it's a file from the model. When you train a model, usually you get like a PT file. So you click, and then I have this roto, and then suddenly now I am inference the model. So that's just loading. And now I have, which I think this is cool because this is actually running a model inside Flame that it was training by me, so I think this is cool. So this is not about competing at all with Autodesk, but it's about like we have this is pre-trained model, and we have this that was training by us. So it just to explain, I'm not trying to sell a plugin or whatever here. I'm just saying that when I'm just trying to show like a technology, like a machine learning technology, like models like this. So this is just what I did here is just a bridge. So I'm not creating this network that is able to train and give me this file. This is open something else. But what I'm doing here is just this bridge that allows me to open the PT file. So yeah, exactly. But this network that is opening here is going to be released. It's not yet released, but in the moment they release, I'm going to also put it for us in the forum and the Logik, this bridge. So if you guys want to just take this network when they release and just use this bridge here, so you guys can just use it. So I'm planning to put that for free to download it. Not planning to sell anything. That's I think it's cool, and also open code, whatever. So what it's doing here, which I think is really cool, it's actually opening the model that was trained by my own data, and here is a pre-trained model. So so there is nothing I can do here, but in the moment you have this network here, you are able to retrain. So how I did this to have this model. One thing that is important to note, Andy, it's the machine that I have here has 2 Quadro 8000s and this bridge link. And this is important, this one, because these models can be very hard to run sometimes. So and I have no idea how this works in Mac. I'm using a Linux box here with these 2 GPUs. So it might look different when it's, especially because these GPUs has VRAM. So, this allows to just use this model. So I'm not sure how that's going to look in other hardwares at all, but I think it should be working. And I'm not sure, but just saying that sometimes it's working like this, maybe faster because it can be slow if you have different hardware. And I have no idea if it's going to work in Mac. And just quickly, just to show you what I did from my personal machine here to be testing this, I kind of built a machine that they call workstation for data science. So what I did, I just, search about this. So if you search like workstation for data science, we're going to find lots of information. And you can just go to B&H or Micro Center, just buy and just match it. That's essentially what I did. So you can see here is 2 video card and an NVLink bridge. And I think I have, like, you can see this is, simple CPU. It's nothing crazy about this machine, a part of, GPUs and Xeon processors and things like that. But it's a Linux box. But I'm not sure about Mac because of the CUDA and things like that. It might be different, but just saying that. So how I train to get this model like this. So I have the shot here, and what I did, I just built some Gmask like this, very quickly, Gmask for a few frames, like 13 frames, you see? And then I put that for training, which I'm planning to show and do a tutorial later on, because it's just take a little bit of time. And once I get these frames for training, the model will learn just those 13 frames, and it will be able, because understand, it's going to be able to, roto the whole shot, and this is running live. So I think this is really cool because, I'm pressing here is actually really running live. And the network is going to be able, this model here is going to be able to just roto from those 13 frames, the whole 300 frame shots. So what I did, I kind of averaged like different positions, like this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, this one, and then the model, have good variations, and it's able to, recognize different features. So, but it's not just about roto, but if you have a network that is able to recognize A and B and train on top of that, so I decided to do something more. I have this shot here that I did a few years ago, and I did all by myself.
And it still gives you nightmares. It still haunts you.
Yeah, exactly. That's why I choose it. Yeah, it was a long time ago, but it was. I know it's. Yeah, so I did all by myself, like tracking, roto, keying, displays, whatever, out reflections. So I did all of this in this shot, and one thing back in the day was hard for me was like it took me a lot of time to remove all these tracking markers because it's a lot of frames. I think it's 52 frames. And there is a lot of, I don't know if you can see, but there is a lot of lighting. Like you see the difference here, the lightning, the edges, like reflections there. And in the way I was planning to comp this, I was looking to have these lights, to put in back. So I need to clean those tracker markers. So back in the day, I have to do one by one because, it is what it is. And then now I can show you quickly what I did that is possible to do it. I cropped the shot so I can only see the tracker markers. And then I have a few of those. And then what I did exactly, I choose, I think I choose, I don't know, that is 10, 15 frames here, 15 tracker markers. So it's almost like, I think I choose just five frames, and then I crop just a few with different lighting, like this. So what I have here is...
You get a good representation of all the different ways a tracking marker might look in this shot.
Yeah, exactly. And then I clean those 15 tracking markers like that. So I'm gonna give the model the A is the shot, and then B it's my comp. And I hope when the model train is gonna learn what I did, it's gonna be able to replicate in other other frames and other tracking markers that that is not even over here. So that's what I did. So you see here this one, I clean up there, just a frame, and then I put the model for training, which I'm not going to show you, but just for guys see it. So when the model is training, you usually have what we call iterations. It's how many iterations your model it's looking, all your data set, it's iterating in learning by comparing kind of a different. So this is the first iteration of the model here. And so it's look crazy, but it actually makes totally sense when you see like this. So this was my crop from the resize node. That was my paint reference. And this is what the model is learning. So the model is comparing these two, and only the difference is going to be learned over here. That's what I expected. So this was the first iteration. This was about after 10 minutes. So I don't know if, let me see if I can do like this, might be better. So this was after 10 minutes of iteration, so of training. So you have the source, you have my cleanup, and then the model is already identified the difference only. This was after 15 minutes of training. So you see that it's really putting the data back and just changing that part. And this is after 3 hours of training. So pretty much learned how to clean up that by using my reference. And yeah, so after 3 hours, I stopped the model to training, and then I have that PT file, right? Because it's the result of the training. So now I can use my bridge again. Let me bring that bridge by box here. Oops. And then I want the tracker markers model. That model was from that preview that I was showing. And now, if the model was training enough, we'll be able to just clean all the tracking markers. So it's loading in. And you start to see that it's cleaning all the tracking markers already.
Oh
You
my
see?
God. Oh my God.
You know,
That's insane,
if
man.
even I don't know, even the ones over here, you see, that was cropping, you still have different grain, but I didn't denoise because I was pushing the model to just see how that's gonna look, but you could denoise and do just a proper job. But yeah, so and this is running live, so every time I click in here.
That's
And
amazing.
what was insane for me, I put a render after this bridge, and then I hit T on the shot, so it's a 3K shot, and then I'm not gonna render all the frames, but let's say 15 frames, and instead of render, because I have two RTX 8000, so instead of render in the front, I want to continue working in something else, so I'm gonna just put in the background reactor. Put it to render, confirm, and now all I have to do is waiting my painting render here to give me the cleanup shot.
That's amazing.
And this I was like, I was like, when I saw this happening, I was like, wow, this is completely new world. Especially, I really remember me cleaning up all these tracking markers.
Yeah, right.
So yeah,
You're
so
like
let's see if he's
crying
rendering.
tears of joy.
Yeah, and then I do
Frank,
have.
Frank has a question for you in the chat. He was wondering, does the result lose quality?
Lose quality of the shot itself? I would say no, because it's comparing both. But what I would do probably is I would do a different now from this pass and then just expand the mat and just comping on top of the background. That was
Gotcha.
just for the tracker markers. And then when I play, you see, it's pretty much gone.
Oh my God. That's incredible, man. I mean, forget about, that it's incredible. It's also, I think, a brilliant explanation or demonstration of the whole training process and why sometimes a generic tool, like again, the ML tools we have in Flame are amazing, but they're trained on generic data, and here you're training it on specific data, and therefore you're
Yeah,
getting a more specific result. This might not work as well. Like for example, this wouldn't work on blue screen, this model you've trained, or this
I
might
don't.
not work.
Yeah,
This might not work as well if you had yellow tracking marks or something like that. I mean,
yeah.
it's but the results are incredible, and you know, after 3 hours of
Especially,
training, I mean, yeah,
especially like.
Yuri Yuri says he'll definitely excuse the vertical reels now, so that's good.
So just for you see it, just for like I remember one thing that gets my mind. I remember when I was doing the shot, that took me a lot of time to clean up those record markers and keep the lighting, everything, because I want to come back. So I remember that it's a time now. If I was doing the shot again, that I can do other thing or be more creative in the comp or be with my family. You know what I mean? Like it's whatever. And let's say if I want to go even crazy, I could roto a few frames of the hand here and just put in for training, whatever. Because remember, you can train in the night while you're sleeping or something, while you go home. You know what I mean? So that's why I was trying to show this. I'm planning to, when they release this network, I'm planning to also do a video about it and how train step by step, and then also this bridge to open this PT file. It's going to be available for us, so I'm going to just put in line for that
That's
on the
great.
Logik
Quinn had a
forums.
question
Yeah,
in the chat about is the painting happening in the Pi box or in Flame? And I believe it's happening in the Pi box. It's happening outside of Flame, and then what's coming back in are the renders, correct?
yeah. So this ML, it's generating EXR, and this Pi box is putting back the XR here. Yeah,
Gotcha.
and
Amazing.
yeah, I think. Yeah, I think it's rendered there. Yeah, see?
God,
Yeah,
that's
it's
so
insane.
great.
It's so cool to see this rendered background like it's something, Yeah. Okay. So yeah, so just recap. I was just cropping, and put some handle and sometimes you can notice, for instance, this is my own render. So you can maybe get something like, oh, that one was not perfect for some reason. Probably that for just a few frames, that was strange because maybe my data set, that is not variations enough. So maybe I can just add more 2 or 3 frames and then I can just continue training or something. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So the model can understand that difference of lighting. And yeah, you could try also maybe do a bunch of different tracking markers and hope to work, but I don't think it's gonna work because this is not, because depending of how people the science build the networks, it works differently. If sometimes they build specific for faces, specific for, I don't know, depends of how the parameters they are looking for. So this one is going to be about difference, so yeah. So I think this is really cool, and I'm really excited to share this Pipebox bridge and then do a tutorial how to train later on. But essentially you start like that, and then after a few hours you see the model was already learning the difference here. Knowing there is no difference, it's gonna not duplicate that, and then that one's gonna be just, you see, like after 3 hours was able to do it. But again, this was training in 2 RTX 8000 with 96 gigs of VRAM. So yeah,
Is that all?
yeah. But that's the only
you're
part.
wondering if that's gonna run fine on my new M1 MacBook Air.
So that's the only difference between these two here and training our model here, because training it's really 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 heavy and hard consumption,
Yeah.
So when you
Hey,
have a
Quinn had
pre-trained
one more
model.
question for you
Yeah.
in the chat. It said, would this work on other shots with the same kind of markers? And I think you answered that. It might,
No, 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 no,
maybe
no.
or not, right?
Oh, good thing. So we have the shot here, right? And the model learns how to, it's not learning pixel by pixel, it's learning something else. We don't exactly, I don't know exactly how it's learning because I'm not a machine learning engineer, but it's learning how to clean up this, not just pixel by pixel. So for instance, if let's say the director came and gonna give me another shot. So I'm gonna emulate the shot with a different time warp here. So let's say time warp is now 30%. I don't know, 30 here. Go back to 100 here. Go back to 5 here. I don't know. And the middle, I don't know, 52. And then here goes 100 again. So it's a completely different time now from the original shot, right? And let's do a motion, and it's still rendered to it. So keep it crash now. And actually no, because it's running in the background, so it might be good. So I have a completely different shot, and then maybe I'm gonna do some action here just to, and let's play. Ooh. Now it's gonna crash. No. Okay. So this is different timing in motion. So this frame is completely different. And now if I try to hunt it, probably it's going to clean up too. Let's see. Yeah.
There you go.
Yeah, it took a little bit of time because it was rendering in the background, but I think it's done, the render. Yeah, it's done. And now, so now,
right, but
you see, this is right.
if you fed like a shot of a phone with white tracking markers on a black screen into this same model as it's trained right now,
It's not going to work, probably.
It wouldn't work. Yeah.
Yeah, but this is working because the model had enough differences here in the data set to be able to, when the time warp was done, or maybe it's just a different shot with different angle, whatever, would be working. For instance, if I add a 2D transform, let me kill this guy here, so we don't need this guy. Maybe I can rotate. do a scale like that on top of the time warp. Let's hope it's cleaning. Yeah, you see, it's understand the data, so it's not about the pixels of the shot, it's about the data that was feeding in, so it knows how to do it. So if this was a completely different shot, it would be able to do it as well. Even like, I don't know if you notice, let's zoom in really heavily. So the time warp here is carrying some artifacts, you see the motion?
Mm-hmm.
So now, but was able to clean that too. Yeah, yeah. So that was my plan for the inference node, and there is a lot of things you can do it. For instance, real quick, I don't think I have in here in the extras, no. But yeah, I'm gonna explain that a little later. So yeah, that was the bridge from Flame. I think now we can move for synthetic data if you're okay.
That was great. Yeah. Does anybody have any other questions before I move on?
Yeah.
Now let's do it. On to synthetic
Cool.
data.
Cool. So
From what I understand about data is, the more, the better. The more and the higher the quality, the better.
Yeah, exactly.
I've seen examples of people like trying to train ML to find like a coffee cup or a coffee mug, and you have to show it the mug from every different angle in order to really get it. The more you give it, the better the result. Sometimes you don't have all that data. You don't have stuff from every possible angle or every possible lighting scheme. And that's where the synthetic data comes in, right?
Exactly. Also, sometimes some papers says something like argumentation, which is essentially, let's say we have this frame here, but we don't have more to train, or we want to do something different, but I don't want to paint again. Maybe what we can do is just rotating like that, and then rotate the same here. And now we're going to have this for the model is going to be a new data with it because it's a different position, And maybe we can do also some color correction and just some variation on both in and outs with link. And then, maybe going like this, and then it's going to be a different lighting for the model as well. So this is called data argumentation. So when you want to do more data, but you don't have real, maybe you can do things like that. And that's going to help your model as well.
Cool.
Mm-hmm. So
Naveen was wondering, real quick before we move on, Naveen was wondering in the chat, does the training need to happen on a single machine, or could the training be crowdsourced, for example?
I think the training can be other machines. And then once you get the model, I think you're going to be able to just run the PT file on whatever other machine you have it. But I cannot confirm anything else because they are still working on this too. So I'm really excited when they release it because I want to test a lot. Yeah. What I have been doing already. Okay, synthetic data, it's something. So something's happening right now because let me show you real quick. And GANs. So GANs, as I was saying back in New York, GANs is something that it becomes really powerful because it can, like all these faces, it's fake. It's being generated. Let me open
it. GAN stands for a generative adversarial network, right?
Yeah, exactly. When you have it's different from encoding, decoding only, but autoencoders. But you actually have a generator and a discriminator, so they kind of fighting between. So like you have the generator trying to generate data, and the discriminator knows the real data, and it's telling the generator like this is wrong. You have to do it better, better, and better, and that becomes what GANs it is. But there is a lot of research on top of that, especially from NVIDIA. And this is like the evolution of GAN. So all these faces are fake, has been generated. So once you got your model with good amount of data and really powerful, you have inside of the model what they call latent codes. So what you can do is transition between those latent codes, and what you have, it's moving these morphs. What this morph is happening is you actually just kind of walking inside of the model, because the model has so much data, and then you label like you have hair, and then you move hair to hair, then you can do like small hair to long hair, because you're just isolating those latent codes from the hair inside of your model. This is way more complicated that I can even imagine it. But yeah, so these guys are just brilliant. They know crazy things of this machine learning. And this is the evolution of GAN. So in 2014 was created, and then was the first paper of GAMs. And then from 14 to 18, that was the evolution of it. So it was a lot from in just a few years,
Right. Not just
So
in quality, but in image size and
yeah, exactly. This is 1024, but 1024 cropping. This was like, I think was 128 by 128. So
mhm.
it's a huge evolution.
And when you showed
Uh,
this stuff off in New York, I remember you were describing it like you framed it in the context of like this is the future of stock footage, you know? Like
yeah, totally.
if you need for your stock footage shot, if you need a Caucasian woman in her who's between 40 and 50 years old and has red hair,
Yeah,
and she's, you know, lives on a farm or something, you plug that in and you'll get an image back that has those qualities, but it's not a real photo. It's not an actual person. It's generated based on the thousands and millions of examples that the models have been trained with.
exactly, exactly. And this is a good example of what is happening right now. So people are trying to control GANs, and they are actually doing really well, especially NVIDIA. It's yeah, because they want to people to use GPUs, and this is a good reason to do it. So for instance, this one, we have the shot here, and what's happening, the model that was loading here was already pre-trained with lots of data. So what's happening here is a different, latent codes inside of the model. So we can pick different parts of what the model was learned, and that's going to apply to the image itself. So what's happening is here. So you change different, like that. It's still the same image, but completely different.
I think I saw an NVIDIA example of something like this where the artist was painting. It looked like it was painting four colors. You know, I want a waterfall.
Yeah,
Oh, there we go.
exactly.
Maybe this is it. Yeah. It's like you're saying, I want a waterfall here, but it will then give you a waterfall with all the appropriate properties of
Exactly.
lighting, shading, interaction with its environment based on what it knows.
And here is a good as another amazing paper. I think this is called Mix and Match. But it's I was blown my mind when I saw this paper, because what they're doing here, they have this amazing model. So they're saying like, I want the background from this picture. This is it still. I want, the different background again. And now they are changing. This is just, and now they're going to change the shape of the bird. And the model is just trying to match it, like now it's the texture of the bird is changing as well. And now the pose, which is really difficult, and it started doing it.
That's insane. Oh my God.
So yeah, so this is really, really amazing research for sure. And it go on and on. They started to change it a lot. But what is great about this model, it's this is how input images. So because here, what happening over here, this is all fake. This is all being generated faces. So when you change like this, you're changing fake to fake, because it's a let's call it samples from the pre-train, which is FFHQ data set, which is lots of thousands of face images. But on this one, it's all real image that has been fed on the model, and the model is trying to match it and change it for the generated image here, which is it's a different approach, but it's also doing like this in the future for us for recreating patches or whatever. It's gonna be insane.
Yeah. That's a really good way
So
to put like a practical application on something like this. It isn't that often that we're asked to change the texture and shape of a bird, but you are asked to remove things from a shot, and
yeah,
it leaves a hole, and that hole has to be filled. And if the model is if it's a background that the model is aware of or has been trained on what that type of either foliage is or ground is, or what, and and then how to deal with the lighting and the blending and things like that. It can be a very powerful addition to your tool set.
Yep, agree. And then synthetic data is when, now we are reaching the level that these images are really, really almost real, especially for human eyes. Some people cannot tell this is fake image anymore. We can do it. We can tell because we have trained eyes to do it. But, this has been really cool. So synthetic data is when you take this generated image and you use for training models. And that is exactly what's going, for instance, in this paper here that was just released, again, this is completely different approach, because this is not using just convolution neural nets, but also using linear transformers, which is a new technology that is, that is coming from language models, which is huge in parameters, and now they are bringing to images. And they figure out that that's going to be a huge change for machine learning, because using transformers, you get another level of quality on top of convolutions. And what these guys on OpenAI did, they link text models with images. So when someone type a storefront that has the word OpenAI writing on it, and then the model is able to generate by what the person just typed, which is just insane in my opinion, because it's almost real images. For instance, if you go here, someone type this, and then you have all the different results, quickly. That was like in seconds, the model is able to generate this. And then it just, again, a collection of glasses sitting on the table, and then the model is reading the text, recognizing the text, and then just generating the images.
And it's not
Exactly.
Not pulling stock photos. This
is fully generated. Yeah, exactly. This is fully generated. And then it doesn't stop there. That's you can this is just a crazy paper, because like an emoji of the big penguin, and then suddenly you have it. Can ask an illustrator,
gloves, green shirt, and yellow pants. Okay.
So this is insane. How much time I'm gonna need to do to create these illustrations? Like these variations here, the model is able to do it now quickly, so we can just see it or whatever.
Amazing.
And same goes here, very realistic, like extremely close-up view of Eagle sitting in the mountain, and then suddenly the model generate does like that. So so why synthetic data? Because now if you have this, maybe you have some problem that you want to do it, want to fix it, and maybe there's going to be enough data to just train your model. So this is what we call synthetic. Someone is just generating data, the model is just generating data, and you are applying the data. You are training the model in the synthetic data. So that's why. So a good example of that is something that, I can show that later. So here, after watching Mandalorian, of course, and then it's Luke Skywalker. And Luke Skywalker, there is a problem of footage from the past, not even Luke, but a lot of, when you want to bring, talent from the past, is really hard because it's missing references. But now we are reaching the level that there is some powerful models that is able to just recreate the face in different poses, and then you can have it, your data set. And that's what I did for Luke Skywalker here in my experiments. This is my input still frame, and this is my keyframes on top of that, and this is the renders that is doing from these keyframes. So all on the right side, it's all fake, it's all being generated, and the left side, just one frame that was fed in this model. And then you can easily see when I change the keyframe, it starts creating different positions. And that works for me as a data set for what I was trying to do, which is, de-aging or even face replace hand on top of this actor that has, because when I was searching, I found that this was the actor that they use on the episode. So exactly. So it's similar, as you can see. So what I did in my model, I create the synthetic data for both, and then I'm used as a pre-train before I training the real data. So that gets
So
the model really
fascinating.
more
It's like,
powerful.
like you showed with the tracking marker, how, you needed more examples. So you took the tracking marker and you rotated it, and then you changed the color of it, and you're just creating more images for the data set. And this is the same thing, only you're using a machine learning tool to create a data set for another machine learning tool.
Exactly. And
That's
then,
amazing.
as we did together, let me share my screen. Let's do this in real time again.
Yep.
Uh,
This is
let's do it.
my
If
intro to
someone wants to,
2021.
if someone wants to send some, let's
If
see.
anybody wants to do a screen recording, now is your time. You've been warned.
Oh, cube opening. Let me Google.
This is Running Man. Oh my God, that was a great scene in the movie The Running Man in 1987. Almost as great as hearing Richard Dawson tell someone to go F themselves.
Cool. Can you see this?
Yeah.
Cool. So let me choose our friend here. And then I can just select his face that I want to work it on. And I need reference for this time, from this reference for that time, from this picture. And then now how I can do it, it's first the model reconstructs you. So now this is actually not real anymore. This actually the model just reconstructs you quickly like that. This is real. And then now I can just start playing. I want different pose like that, maybe a little bit more. Maybe a little more like that. I know. Now I
That's
need like
crazy.
this. Maybe like that.
That's it. That's the pose right there that I want, my
That's
eulogy.
what. Oh, let's do another one. Let me copy you.
This is an
Just like
AICP
that.
judge here. Look at this. There's legitimacy going on.
Cool. And now let's do it.
It's crazy. It's so amazing.
Yeah, this is not released yet, this model. So it's so you cannot retrain the model with different data. So for now it's just inference, but yeah, it's already so powerful, and that's what's using. Let me go back now to, is anyone has a picture so I can play? If if you want to just send it in the chat so we can do it together. Let me share again what it is. Cool. So now we understand better when I play this, what's happening. I'm just creating those poses so my model can be more robust when I use real data. And that's exactly what I did for Alita. My other example, let's bring Alita back. It's here. So for Alita, what I was trying to do it as an experiment, it's I limit my real data set to just 600 CG frames. And what I was hoping to do is, create synthetic data for all the other frames that the model might gonna need. And, so
Because the
in the real
model really
world,
needs like thousands of frames in order to give you a decent result.
yeah, exactly. At least 2,000 for 5,000 for more. And so what I did, I limit to CG frames and create a lot more. So I think this was like 40 real. Yeah, no, it was more synthetic than real data for sure. And then, so this was my results, and I especially use these shots because the shots was never rendered in the real film. So there is no data for this. So the model was forcing to generate those because this is making off camera, so it's not the real alignment. So the model could just match it, this angle, because from the real data. So this is completely different camera from the making of, and the model was able to, especially this one, to reconstruct in a good level. And this was the models that I was just a full example of me argumentating and having more synthetic data to learn. And this is a good example. So this is a screen test from her. So this was never ever been done as a CG, you know. But then I was able to recreate the CG on top of this footage, which I think was a very nice experiment, especially for advertising, you know, that we can reduce time. So CG artists can just create not a few frames, but frames enough so we can synthetic more in 2D and just, you know, creating this in Flame, you know, in this in Flame department. So that was my main goal. And then I end up here, and this is my version of Look, using a combination of synthetic and also real data.
That's amazing. That's amazing. And again, a perfect example of how the technology works. Thanks, man.
Of course, man. You're welcome. And I think I have in here. Yeah, I have in here good other example of people creating more data like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, this is the same. Yeah, this was I just to show you guys that this flame has this too. It's an NVLink bridge, and so that's why it's able to train quickly. So don't. It's really hard to train, but it's really worth it, in my opinion.
Don't try this at
Yeah.
home, kids. This is a professional.
Yeah, that's it, man. That's it.
That's awesome. That's
Thank
awesome.
you.
Does anybody have any other
Thank
questions
you.
for Thiago?
Let me stop sharing here.
All right. Well, while you guys are thinking, or if anybody's typing one, I wanted to share with you something along the same lines that Andrei Toloshny, who's here with us today, uh, sent me over something he's worked on and put together that I'm going to put on the Logik forum. Let me just bring up my flame here. He took one of the libraries. It was the 2020 Rife ML library for doing time warps, and wrapped it up inside of a Python script, and created basically like a one downloadable file that if you throw it in Autodesk shared Python, you can take advantage of this tool here. It only runs on Linux. It doesn't run on Mac. And let me bring my Linux flame in here. Hold on. Hold on. Okay. So yeah, and again, I'll share this file on the Logik.tv forum. It's one .py file. You throw it in Autodesk shared Python, and you'll see once you start Flame, you'll get under pop-ups here, you'll get a pop-up called TimewarpML. The first time you run Flame after this is installed, it needs to unpack whatever libraries it needs, and it does run kind of self-contained. And I tried it on 2 clips, right? So here's a clip that I tried, which I thought would be a classic. Oh my God, this is going to kill us if you try to do like a motion time warp, because there's horizontal movement across vertical lines. So I took this clip and I ran it. I did a 50% slowdown. I'm running at a 50% speed rather through just like Flame's motion time warp. And you can see when it crosses the screen here, this is motion time warp. You get kind of the expected artifacts, that you know are going to happen. And then I tried this on the machine learning tool. Whoops, here's the original. And all you have to do here is pick your speed change, your slowdown speed, and then an export folder. Make sure you put it somewhere that isn't like your local drive, like var temp or whatever, so you don't fill up your local drive. And then say create. And so the script does everything. It exports. I don't know. If, okay, you can see the shell here. So it exports the clip as an EXR sequence. It then fires up the model. It runs the script through the model, runs the sequence through the model rather, generates new EXR files, and then those come back into Flame for you as a finished clip. And you can see it's running pretty quick. Again, this only runs on Linux, at least at the time, or for the time being. Um, it's similar to the Dane time warp tool, but I think, and Andre, please feel free to chime in. It's got advantages. Like one is that it can work in higher resolutions. It can work in 16-bit floating point. Um, and just for the sake of expediency here, since you see how this works, I'm going to quit that, and you do get the result back in here. But I've already done this for y'all here. So if you look, here's the result, and when we have our guy. Oops, I probably should have let that run a little longer. Let's let that run a little. Let me just do that again. Da da da. While that's running, I'll show you another one that I do have prepared, and that was I took this clip here, just of some cars driving down here in Venice, and in Flame I went and slowed it down to 50%, and again you get the expected motion artifacting, especially in here, right? The result that I got back from the model, though, was this. Which is pretty, like, unbelievable. So I definitely want to give a thank you, like an amazing thank you to Andre for putting this together and giving me something that I can distribute to everybody. And again, like right now, if you're fortunate enough to work with an editor who doesn't use fit to fill, and I don't know how many of them there are in the world, then you might be able to have a result back with exactly the speed change you need. But if not, you could probably get something close, and at least it will give you the new frames and give you frames that you would be able to paint from in order to fill in the blanks. Let's check in on our render here. Oh, it's almost done. Da da da. The specs, JT, are it's a Z8 with a P6000, I believe. I'll do a HIMV and show you in a second. Except that we appear to have crashed. Well, it happens to everyone, I guess, right? Yep, we've crashed. Well, it didn't happen to you, Thiago, but it happened to me. It happened to me. Yep. Right? Randy says 64 minutes. That's not bad. Yeah, no problem. It will be available up on the Logik portal. I'll do a separate post for it with the link to the GitHub repository where you can download it. And thank you again so much, man, to Andre for putting that together. And this is being distributed just kind of, use at your own risk kind of thing. And
Yeah.
And enjoy.
That is just amazing. Yeah. Thank you, Andre. Yeah, for sure.
Cool. Yeah, that'll go up later. So let's see. Da-da-da. Let me just go ahead and transition over here to he is not. All right. Well, we'll do one more. Music was hot. I'm sorry. It's a new year. You know, it's a new year, Randy. Let's try this. Is this any better? Naveen Srinisava, yes. Congratulations, my friend. All right. There's a Logik.tv nice coming your way. All right. Finally, something good coming your way from south of the border, courtesy of our friends at Synesys.io. All right. Well, I want to say thank you very much to Thiago for an amazing presentation, man. That was fantastic, and thank you for all that you've done for the community, and always just being your enthusiasm for sharing this kind of stuff is just done so much. So thanks a lot, man. I really appreciate it.
Thank you, man. Thank you. I told you a million times, I'm a huge fan of your work and what you do for Logic, and all these episodes now. I'm always watching. So
Oh,
thank
thanks,
you,
man.
actually.
Oh, that's great. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right. So here's what we got coming up for you next on Logic Live. Let's see. You guys see that next week we have something we're going to call Render Time Chats. Your 2021 wish list for Flame. We're going to be doing like a regular meeting, not a webinar. This is going to be kind of like a user group, kind of what we've done for the end of year party and things like that. But a great opportunity just to chat. We're going to have Randy's going to be on to show off some new things that are coming up with the forum. And I'm also going to announce the long overdue winner for the jargon contest that Tim Farrell had run on the forum there. And so far, I think Scromp is, if nothing else, is my favorite. It's kind of also like the sound that a wet shoe makes, I think, when it's walking through like a pile of dry leaves. Let's see. Coming up after that on the 24th, we're going to do Synthesize for Flame Artists with Ulick. That's at 2 o'clock. I'm going to go ahead and put in the chat. Before I forget, I'm going to put the URL to sign up for next week's, so that way everybody has it. And then on January 30th, Randy and I are cooking up something special. That's a Saturday, January 30th. So just stay tuned. We're getting close to something where we feel like we can go ahead and share with everybody. But if we get this thing together, I think it's going to be absolutely epic. And so stay tuned. But please, if you haven't signed up for the forum, go ahead and do it. Forum.logik.tv. Again, I'm going to go ahead and put the link to download this tool from Andre over there. And please, while you're there, fill out the survey from Autodesk and the polls that Randy has put up. This episode, like all episodes of Logik.tv, will be available. Of Logic Live will be available on Logik.tv. I'm going to release a new episode of the podcast today. It's from one of the episodes of last year, one of the Logik TV episodes from last year. And please subscribe to the YouTube channel if you have not. That's going to do it, everybody. Thank you. Happy New Year. And thank you to our friends at Synesys for helping to make this possible. Friends, I will see y'all next time.